Fortnite has some of the most creative items I think we've ever seen in any video game, but with a ton of creative items also comes a lot of really downright lazy items. And in this video, I want to talk about some of those lazy items, and if you guys enjoy this video, I'll either make a part 2 to it, or maybe we'll look at some of Fortnite's most creative items, whatever you guys let me know in the comment section down below. These are items and weapons that downright just feel like lazy additions to the game, right? These items are either, obvious copies and reskins of items we've seen before, or just don't feel like creative additions to the game and really just lack serious creativity. With that being said, I'm obviously excluding Chapter 2 remix items since that season is legit meant to be a copy of a previous season. Look, I'm not saying that these weapons and items are useless, they are just very lazy additions to the game. Alright, so we are going to begin with a weapon that I have no idea why they decided to do this, but it's going to be the Sharp Tooth Shotgun, and obviously, you guys know I am not talking about the actual shotgun itself. Like the way the weapon performs, right? It's got completely different damage numbers to any other shotgun. It functions completely differently to any other shotgun. But why did they decide to just use the Spaz shotgun weapon model for the Sharp Tooth? It just feels so lazy, right? Like, this is its own shotgun. It should have its own weapon model. I mean, really, how difficult is it to just create a different shotgun weapon model? But they're like, no, you know what? We're just going to take the Spaz shotgun, add it to the game, and then just change the name from the pump shotgun to the Sharp Tooth shotgun. I mean, seriously, right? It's like they couldn't have even changed it up a little bit, like maybe just add like some teeth artwork on the side of it, or just anything that would differentiate it from the Spaz, and it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth for this weapon. And even, when I rank shotguns and the Spaz and the Sharp Tooth are in the same spot, I just use the exact same picture that I did for the Sharp Tooth that I do for the Spaz. It's just really annoying sometimes. And by the way, I should have mentioned in the beginning, this list is in no particular order, and honestly, for this spot, I think we would really just talk about Fortnite weapons that have multiple different weapons, but the same weapon model. I'm looking at, Sloan's Striker Burst Rifle versus Sloan's Burst Rifle versus just the regular AUG versus the, regular Striker Burst Rifle. It's like even Ocean's Burst Assault Rifle and the Chapter 2 AUG. Like, they all have the exact same weapon model. It's just so stupid. I don't understand why they couldn't have come up with anything different. Not to mention Sloan's Striker Burst Rifle versus Sloan's Burst Assault Rifle. I mean, they literally almost have the exact same name. Again, I know the weapons function differently. Some have a scope, they have different damage, I get it. But come on, let's please stop reusing the same weapon model over and over again for different weapons. Next, we're moving on to Chapter 5 with the cardboard box. And alright, let me explain, right? Because at least the creep-in cardboard was in Chapter 2, Season 2. Now, that item in and of itself isn't that creative, but when you think about it being in a spies theme, yeah, I guess it makes sense, right? You kind of hide in a cardboard box, and then you can just kind of pop out whenever you want and shoot somebody. Like, alright, I get it. But then in Chapter 5, they decided to add literally just the exact same item, call it the cardboard box, give it a mythic rarity, and then pretend it's like its own totally different item. Like, why not just bring back the creep-in cardboard? They're the exact same thing. They function identically. It makes no sense why this item has its own mythic version when the creep-in cardboard just exists. And I don't want to hear that, this was part of the Solid Snake collab. Like, come on, they couldn't have come up with anything else that was more creative than a cardboard box that had already existed in another season. Yeah, I'm not buying that. And how about we talk about the exotic Storm Scout sniper rifle? Now, exotic weapons are cool because, yes, while they normally function almost identically to their legendary counterparts, they at least have something that makes them special, right? Like, you've got the Nighthawk, which adds a thermal scope to the scope revolver. Or you've got the Shadow Tracker, right? Which allows you to mark people that you shoot with the suppressed pistol. But the exotic Storm Scout's ability? Well, it doesn't have one. This weapon shouldn't exist, right? It does nothing different than the legendary Storm Scout. They've got the exact same reload time, structure damage, fire rate, just damage itself. This is literally the legendary Storm Scout, but then they just decide to just make it look more pink and call it an exotic. It is an incredibly lazy version of the Storm Scout, and like I said, I don't know why it exists, and you see how creative they can get with exotic abilities, and the fact that they don't even give this one any type of ability. Like, I mean, seriously, just give this thing anything that separates it from the legendary version. Maybe make it so that, I don't know, when you have this item, your teammates can also see where the future storm circles are going to be. I don't know. This thing is just incredibly lazy. Next, we've got the Crash Pad Jr. and the Shield Bubble Jr. Do I really need to explain why I feel like these are some of the laziest items that Fortnite has ever added? The Crash Pad Jr. is just a smaller, nerfed version of the Crash Pad, and the Shield Bubble Jr. is the same thing. Although I feel like with the Shield Bubble Jr., there's a little bit of a different kind of competitive difference that the Shield Bubble Jr. gives you as opposed to its regular bigger version. I think you could even maybe make an argument the Shield Bubble Jr. is better than the regular Shield Bubble. Again, you're gonna see kind of a theme throughout all these items on this list. You're gonna be asking yourself by the time I'm done talking about them, like, why do they even exist? And let's be honest, it's not like the regular Crash Pad or the regular Shield Bubble were overpowered as well, that they needed their own entire different versions. Why even introduce these items, right? Just bring back the regular Crash Pad and bring back the regular Shield Bubble. I don't know. If anyone's got any explanation for this one, I'd love to hear it. Next, I've got Jules' drum gun and Shadow Midas' drum gun. So the only thing that these weapons are different than the Chapter 2 Season 2 post-nerf drum gun is just the way they look. And don't get me wrong, right? I'm okay with changing aesthetics for collabs, kind of. In certain situations, right, it definitely makes sense, right? Like the TMNT Pizza Party is literally just the regular pizza party, but that weapon fits into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collab perfectly, right? They love pizza, everyone knows that. But for Jules, right, Jules is her own boss. I guess she has some ties to Midas, but really, Jules is her own boss. Give her her own unique mythic item. Don't just reskin the drum gun and say, oh, here's Jules' drum gun with the exact same stats as Midas' drum gun. And then you do the exact same thing with Shadow Midas' drum gun, just throw a little purple hue on it. Oh, cool, it's its own mythic drum gun that now we've seen twice before. The original Midas' drum gun made sense, right? We had never seen a mythic drum gun before, and it was totally gold, right? Because anything Midas touches turns to gold. And I feel like this placement here is really more so targeting Jules' drum gun, because at least with Shadow Midas' drum gun, while the gun performs identically, the kind of cosmetic overhaul kind of makes sense for the Fortnite Mares Halloween event. But Jules' drum gun, there is just no reason why she couldn't have had her own mythic drum gun, and it's not even like the aesthetic reskin even makes sense. And so yeah, as you guys can tell, right, I've kind of got a bone to pick with these items. And I want to go back to Chapter 6, Season 3, and talk about the Wingshot Grappler, alright? Because this item really pisses me off, because it is such a blatant copy of Batman's grapnel gun that it's not even really funny. Like, I get it, right? We have other glider guns, like Jules' glider gun or the regular glider gun. But I'm not really focusing on those ones here. I'm focusing on how blatant of a copy the Wingshot Grappler is from Batman's grapnel gun. You're telling me Robin couldn't have gotten any more of a creative mythic? I mean, yes, it makes sense for Batman's grapnel gun. It was the first one we saw, and you got the Batman wings every time you would use the grappler. And yeah, while you do get Robin's custom, glider when you use this item, and it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, it was all right when we saw it for Batman because it was the first time we saw it, but then you do the exact same thing for Robin. It's just like, come on, we couldn't have thought of anything different. Like, literally anything themed to Robin that we hadn't seen in Fortnite history yet, but they're like, no, let's just copy Batman, his counterpart's grapnel gun. All right, so let's move off the grapnel guns and into one that I think is going to be a little bit more triggering to some of you guys, and this is not even a weapon. It is the aspect of Siphon and Doombot's Siphon medallion. Firstly, let me preface that I have no problem with medallions giving you Siphon. That's not an issue. But remember, there's only a couple of medallions that will exist for an entire season, so these medallions need to be creative. There's no excuse for a medallion to give you the exact same effect that we have had in the game plenty of times before, right? Like, I mean, take for example Chapter 6 Season 3 with the Infernal Defenses medallion. Yeah, right, you kind of get Siphon, right? You get passive 1 shield per second up to 50 shield, but you also get improved reload speed on top of that. And then you look at some of the other medallions that were in these seasons, right? Take Chapter 5, Season 2, for example. You've got the aspect of speed, right? Increasing sprint speed and jump height and nullifying fall damage. You've got the aspect of agility, which will give you the brand new underworld dashes over time. You've got the aspect of combat, which will give you increased damage for ranged weapons. Like, these are all new, creative, and nothing that we've ever seen before. And then you've just got the aspect of Siphon, which is just like, all right, here, take Siphon. It's not like we've ever seen that before in Fortnite history. And again, I'm not saying these items are useless. They're very good medallions, but it's like you couldn't have gave them something more creative that are tied to their characters. And again, right, it's like you only got a couple of medallions that will be in an entire season, so it really feels bad when a medallion just has Siphon and doesn't do anything extra for you. It feels boring and it feels very lazy to me. It just feels like they couldn't have come up with something else for the medallion, so they're just like, here, take Siphon. We know you guys will like it. All right, I want to put a little bit of an asterisk here on this last one, and maybe you guys can think of it as more of an honorable mention for this list, but I wanted to make sure I included it. That's going to be Bender's Shiny Metal Ray Gun. This is an item that, like, the first time you use it, right, you'll use it and you'll be like, oh, this is just the Chimera Ray Gun. We've seen this before, and you're exactly right. In fact, the DPSs on these weapons are only differentiated by 4. That is how identical they are. And the only reason why for me I'm kind of putting this as more of an honorable mention and not really like its own placement is because to me it does fit well with like the whole Futurama collab itself. But like I've said countless times throughout this video, and I know you guys are tired of hearing me say it, it's just like you couldn't have come up with anything brand new for Bender from Futurama. Like that is such a creative franchise. There is definitely something you could have done, but instead they're just like, let's take the Chimera ray gun, throw a new skin on it, and let's just call it Bender Shiny Metal Ray Gun when everyone knows it's just the Chimera ray gun. And that's why you guys see me rank these items. Sometimes I even rank them all within the same spot because they are just that similar, and that's not a good sign for what's supposed to be a brand new collab mythic item. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section down below which lazy Fortnite items in history do you think I missed, and if I see enough really solid ones down there, I'll definitely make a part 2 to this video. We have got hundreds of Fortnite items, so I guarantee you I forgot some obvious ones. I know I'm going to get cooked here sometimes. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like so you let me know that you want to see more of this content, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, peace.